Here are 50 amazing facts to blow your mind. The final payment on German debts in regards to World War I reparations was made on October 3rd, 2010. If you're infected by a retrovirus, it can change your DNA, and you can pass these changes on to your descendants. By one estimate, 5 to 8% of the human genome comes from retroviruses. Most insertions have no known function and are often referred to as junk DNA. A man with Alzheimer's forgot that he was married and then fell in love with his wife all over again. He proposed again and they had a second wedding. Bryan Cranston's father, Joseph Cranston, abandoned the family during Bryan's youth after being unable to get enough acting jobs to support them. They would not meet for another 11 years. In 1988, Bryan would star in The Big Turnaround, which was directed by his very own father, Joseph. John Rainwater was a fake graduate math student in the 1950s, created as a prank due to an extra student registration form. The name later became a pseudonym for publishers in functional analysis, even having their own result called Rainwater's theorem. In the United States, flamethrowers are legal in most of the country, with the exception to Maryland's full ban and California requiring a permit for the state fire marshal. There are over 8,330 different vehicle license plate choices in the United States, with Maryland leading the most options at 989 plates. Muhammad Ali's daughter Layla is considered one of the greatest female boxers of all time. Approximately 1 in every 5 to 6 million boys are born with two. Hundreds of tree seeds went to the moon with the Apollo 14 mission, resulting in moon trees planted all around the country during the 1970s, few of which still stand today. England and Ireland had sumptuary laws preventing lower classes from eating, drinking, and dressing like the typical elite class, after the economic boost to peasants post the Black Death plague. In 1783, the Laki volcano in Iceland erupted for 8 months. It caused a famine that killed 1/3 of all Icelanders and changed global temperatures. The 1784 winter saw ice flows in the Gulf of Mexico and a frozen Mississippi River as far as New Orleans. Craigslist generated $302 million of revenue in 2024, with no spending on marketing or advertising and no sales team. Despite Australia's reputation for having dangerous snakes, Australia averages just 1 to 2 snakebite deaths per year. Bro was rejected as short form for broadly compression, as it was considered misogynistic. Scientists discovered a new kind of orchard bee and named it Euglossa bazinga after the Big Bang Theory. While suffering dementia near the end of her life, Harriet Beecher Stowe rewrote Uncle Tom's Cabin nearly word for word, believing it to be a new book. Eleanor Roosevelt wrote an extremely popular newspaper column 6 days a week for 25 years, which was part diary, part moral support for the disadvantaged, and part attacks on complacent Democrats. The world's oldest known prosthetic device is a 3,000-year-old wooden toe found on an Egyptian mummy. The Cairo toe shows signs of wear, indicating it was actually used by its owner during their lifetime, not just attached for burial purposes. The Nine Nanas, a group of women who secretly met at 4 a.m. for 30 years to anonymously help people in need, sending care packages with pound cakes and notes saying somebody loves you. That was a thing. Nebraska was by both sides during World War II. Tsunami stones are a thing. They're ancient markers in Japan, often inscribed with warnings about past tsunamis. Placed after disasters, they advise future generations to build homes on higher ground to avoid deadly waves. Some date back centuries. The city of Melbourne in Australia was briefly known as Batmania in 1835, named after one of its founders, John Batman. It was officially renamed Melbourne in 1837 after the British Prime Minister at the time, Lord Melbourne. Enrique Iglesias' grandfather conceived a child who was born 7 months after he died at the age of 90. The Tale of Genji, one of the world's first novels, was written by a Japanese noblewoman in the early 11th century. Your eyes rotate torsionally in their sockets during head tilts, and it's not just post-processing by our brain. In 1783, 2 French scientists became the first humans to ascend nearly 10,000 feet using a hydrogen balloon over Paris, just 10 days after the first ever manned balloon flight. The bliss point is a point where, in processing foods, the levels of salt, sugar, and fat cause people to feel the food is just right. Bliss point foods commonly produce cravings and can bypass the body's satiety signals and lead to overeating. In 2013, 15 Australian miners were fired for performing the Harlem Shake in a gold mine. Medical students dissected the donated body of a 78-year-old man only to discover that he had 3 members. The extra 2 were small, non-functional, and completely concealed within his scrotum, so it's possible that he lived an entire life without even knowing his anatomy was different. Hermann Goering was a member of the Flying Circus, a fighting ace squadron in World War I. Goering had 22 confirmed aerial victories and was recognized as one of the most successful enemy pilots in World War I. Drivers aged 19 and below are more than 4 times more likely to be involved in an aggressive driving road rage crash than older adults. The world's largest jack-in-the-box has a 600-pound clown head once owned by Captain Kangaroo. The Lombard Queen Rosamund was taken as a prisoner after her father, the last king of the Gepids, lost a war to the Lombardic king Alboin, who took her as his wife. He was notably cruel to her, making her drink from her own father's skull at her banquet, and she later instigated his assassination. Lasanthe de Fragile syndrome is a type of anemia caused by a self-harm behavior of repeatedly drawing one's own blood. The Corona Moralis was a golden battlement-shaped crown awarded to the first Roman soldier or centurion who climbed the wall of a besieged city and successfully placed the standard of the attacking army upon it. There's a species of ant called the Polyraceus lamellidens that uses other species as slaves. A newly mated queen seeks out another ant colony, sneaks in with stolen pheromones, then kills their queen single-handedly. Workers of the conquered colony raise their new master's brood. One U.S. county alone, being San Bernardino, is larger than the states of New Jersey, Connecticut, Delaware, and Rhode Island combined. During Leon Trotsky's assassination, he fought back fiercely, breaking the assassin's hand, but he was struck in the head with an ice axe. When the guards rushed in, they nearly killed the assassin, but Trotsky insisted that he be interrogated. Nvidia founder Jensen Huang's parents sold nearly everything they owned to send him to what they thought was a prestigious boarding school, but which was in fact a reformatory for troubled kids. He taught his 17-year-old roommate how to read in exchange for help working out. The Daily Mail used to be openly pro-fascist, with editorials expressing support for Mussolini's Italy, the Germans, and British fascist movements during the 1930s. Painters traditionally wear white because it hides paint splatters, keeps them cooler in the sun, and signals professionalism. During World War I, British soldiers in France formed a concert party called Splinters, featuring convincing female impersonators, which became a hit revue and even spun off into one of Britain's first talkie films in 1929. Curious George was originally supposed to appear in Forrest Gump from 1994 until Robert Zemeckis cut him. "That monkey's gotta go," he said. After the Crimean War, Queen Victoria praised soldiers' facial hair as a mark of real fighting men. Mustaches became mandatory until 1916, mainly because gas masks required a proper seal, prompting the army to drop the almost 60-year rule and made them optional. Of the 17,576 possible 3-letter acronyms, 94% were used at least once in a dataset of 18 million scientific articles. Sergeant Gander was a Newfoundland dog that fought alongside Canadian troops in the Battle of Hong Kong. He saved several wounded soldiers when he grabbed a grenade thrown into the midst of them and ran towards the enemy with it. He was awarded the doggy equivalent of the Victoria Cross. The Jabulani was the official ball for the 2010 FIFA World Cup. Due to its unpredictable behavior when traveling through the air, the ball was widely criticized by both goalkeepers and strikers. The Brazilian goalkeeper Julio Cesar compared it to a supermarket ball. In 2011, the plural form of a Toyota Prius was decided on by an online voting campaign. The winning choice was Pre, beating out 4 contenders, namely Prius, Priuses, Prium, and Prian. A thought collective is a group of individuals who share a common way of thinking or approach to knowledge, shaped by shared ideas, methods, and communication. It influences how its members interpret facts, ask questions, and generate knowledge. And that's it for this 50 amazing facts. If you guys enjoyed it, leave a like and a comment on this video and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.